light-skinned people for them to play. There's a lot of them. But the main thing, look, when you try to get a movie made, there's a couple of things. One, of course, is the commercial aspect, which is who is an actor who can get the movie made. Like, their participation means that the financing will happen and folks will show up in theaters. And Chadwick Boseman, fortunately for all of us, is at that level where he is a star. People respect him tremendously as an actor, and I think we would all agree he did an amazing acting job in this film. So you say, so when I say, okay, who's going to be Thurgood? You go, okay, who is Thurgood? He is not Martin Luther King, right? Martin Luther King is great, but this guy smokes, drinks, flirts, fights. And
that also was Dr. King.
No.
No.
I don't know about King fighting.
I mean, Dr. King smoked, he drank, he flirted.
Yes.
He, you know.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but here's the whole.
But the thing is,
I want to stay there because as I remember, so I'm watching the scene and I'm sitting there and I'm going. I said, "Wow, this is awesome." In that. You showed what, first of all, what they often hid from the public.
Right.
King rarely wanted photos taken of him smoking a cigarette. We rarely see them. Thurgood Marshall saying that they were very protective of their image. You saw the humanity of who they were, tough situation, drinking at a bar, smoking cigarettes, saying, man, it was hell today. A lot of folks would try to go for what I call the mask of the sort of bobblehead version of our black superheroes.
Yeah, no, I'm not here to make a greeting card. You know, for me, if you want to inspire people, right, to reach, then you have to show how human these people are. I mean, the fact that they are human, which makes their superheroic feats more incredible. Because they were flawed. They were just like us, except they got up 10 times after being knocked down 9 times. And you go, what about if he was a human just like me, and somehow he overcame, somehow he did the work, and he took his natural gifts and put the work in and became the smartest person in the room of any room he's in, right? And he had the courage to leave Harlem, where he was a baller. He's hanging out with the celebrities, he's a lawyer, he's got the beautiful wife, and he leaves that to go to hell. To go to places where they will kill him as quick as they look at him. You just go, well, why would you do that? You know, that's who he was as a man.
I'm gonna come back to the superhero part. I want to stay on that particular scene because if you, in looking at the film, you could say, well, that could have been lost. That really wasn't needed. Did you want to show that look, this was the guy who, when you talk about the Harlem Renaissance, when you talk about that period, I mean, he was in the midst of that. He was a peer with those other superstars.
He went to college with Langston Hughes and my man. Minnie Moocher. Cab Calloway. They were all at Lincoln University together, right? So they're boys. So yeah, they're
Lincoln University in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Right, there too.
Yes.
Just help us the folks out.
Yeah. So
the folks who don't have any HBCU.
Right. So yeah, thank you.
There's a Lincoln in St. Louis. There's a Lincoln in Pennsylvania. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Y'all got light the hell up. Seriously. Go ahead, Reggie.
So I mean, so the point is, look, lots of times when we depict black life, particularly black period life, right, is always suffering, is always misery. And yes, that's part of our fabric of our lives, but there's also excellence and elegance and success. And the fact is the Harlem Renaissance was a real thing, and these people were jamming, bowling, sophisticated, good time having people. And to show that, like, no, this is part of his life too, and to understand he's, and to understand his sacrifice in the context of that aspect of his life, of our lives. I think is very important because that's a challenge that we all face. Because the reality is, we lead good lives, right? You know, we're all doing well. We know that black people as a nation have a lot of challenges ahead, but we individually have all varying degrees of comfort. So the question for all of us is, how much are we willing to be uncomfortable for the greater good?
So I'm sitting there and I'm watching Chadwick play Thurgood Marshall, and I've seen documentaries, I've read books. You know, he's a fellow member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. If you couldn't get in, ain't my fault. Had to throw that in. Since our national convention begins tomorrow here in Baltimore. And so and of course, the Thurgood Marshall Airport here in Baltimore. I'm watching Chadwick, and I'm thinking about Thurgood Marshall, and I'm thinking about black folks' reaction to Black Panther. And folks were just, how they just lost it when the trailer came out. Oh my God, a black superhero. And I'm watching this brother, and I'm knowing about his history, and I'm going, damn, that's a superhero who was real. And that just, and I'm watching him move, and I'm just sitting here going, that's all I'm thinking. I'm not thinking Supreme Court Justice, I'm thinking superhero. That is how I believe we should be describing as a superhero.
One of the reasons why Chadwick Boseman was the man for the job. I mean, look, I'm very intimate with the Black Panther. I wrote the Black Panther comic book for 5 years. I wrote and produced the animated series of Black Panther that y'all can see on YouTube if you want to. So, you know, the minute Chadwick was cast, we started having conversations about the role because I knew he was a great, person to play the role, and I talked about what I thought he should do when we really clicked on that. So then when the Thurgood Marshall script came my way, I thought, well, this is great because Chadwick is not just talented but smart, and you want, when you make a movie, you want a partner, and Chadwick is a perfect partner, and I knew he would understand everything about not just the character but what we were trying to accomplish as a film, and he embodied you saw all that, and the fact that people would go, ooh, the Black Panther's in this other movie, would mean that more people would go see it, that our sons and daughters and nephews and cousins would go see this film because he's also the Black Panther. That's all, part of the play.
Earlier you said it doesn't matter what room he would be in, he was the smartest person in the room. There's no way in the world you can't watch this film and not go, the sheer brilliance of Thurgood Marshall. And not just that, the supreme confidence. He went into places in the South where he made clear, don't let the light-skinned, wavy hair fool you. I will get in that ass if needed. How important was it for you to ensure that wasn't the, well, I'll pray for you, we'll kneel down, that he represented that level of manhood and exuded it all throughout the film?
That was everything to me. I think that I think it is important for us to fight for depictions of black manhood to its fullest. And I can't think of a better representative for, the fulfillment of the idea of black manhood than Thurgood Marshall. Because he was fly and had swagger and had intelligence and had courage. He embodied all those things. And if you don't have strong black women need strong black men. Strong black families need strong family units that come from all of the, strong black children need strong black men.
Y'all can clap on that, go ahead.
So, it's very important, for me as a black man, as a black father, that we propagate images of that represent us appropriately, properly.
When did you arrive at the point where you wanted to do this film? What was that process?
mean, for me, Thurgood was always kind of on my short list of a thing I wanted to do, but couldn't really figure out the right approach. I mean, I almost named my son Thurgood. You know, ultimately, I was like, it's a little too much weight. I can't do that.
Right, because I mean, if you go through, I don't know a Thurgood.
Right. No, but it was a short list.
Does anybody here, do y'all know any Thurgoods? You know a Thurgood? One. You know a Thurgood up there?
Right. No,
that's it, just one.
Right.
Yeah, that's pressure.
Right. In fact, you know who lobbied for was Senator Kamala Harris. She was like, just do it, Thurgood. I'm like, I can't. But so when Apollo Wagner called and said, hey, I've got this Thurgood Marshall script, I was like, yes. Oh, I should read it, but yes, because I was excited by the opportunity to explore him as a man. I was excited when I read the script by a lot of things. The fact that it was set in the North, not in the South. Because we've seen Southern racism. We've seen sheriffs chewing tobacco, and we've seen all those beats. But Northern racism gets a pass way too much. You know.
What's also interesting, you have this interplay between these two attorneys, one black, one Jewish, and the person who became the leader of the NAACP Legal Defense Education Fund after Thurgood Marshall left was Greenberg, a Jewish lawyer.
That's right.
And I thought that story also was just very interesting watching it.
Right. This is why I love this man. His intelligence, his grasp of history. You're an impeccable person, Roland. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for everything you do. Hey, that is that foreshadowing of that to come, right? Not for everybody, for those who know, you got it. Because the fact that Thurgood Marshall believed what he preached. He believed in judging the content of your character. He's not going to judge you based on your race. And he said, look, if you're the best person for the job, I'm going to give you the job. And, you know, at the same time, he fought like hell for black folk to be treated fairly. And, so that was important, and that's a powerful message. And the fact is, look, the black-Jewish partnership did a lot of great things. It's frayed, right? We all know it. And, you know, so either we can leave it as it is, or we can look at a movie like this and go, you know what, they were great things. And how do we replenish and rebuild that in a healthy way so we can, at a time where everything in society is trying to pull us apart, how do we build allies to make the world better?
And you really should get Jack Greenberg's book. It is a phenomenal book. It's one of those, I've read it. It's just an amazing account of not just Brown versus Board of Education, but so many of the other cases they fought. It was also just I love how you did it, just the insight there, the friction that also existed between Thurgood Marshall and Walter White. Because he was under the NAACP, and then later, of course, Legal Defense Education Fund splits off from the NAACP because a lot of that friction. And so as I'm watching this, I'm going, okay, I know about that. And again, that was one of those just small things that I just immediately picked up upon that you want to be able to show. That it wasn't just, oh, everybody's great and wonderful and we all get along.
No, because you're not going to learn from that. I mean, the fact is, you know, we always talk about why don't we have more unity, or why can't we work together? And you say, okay, well, let's look at the greatest achievements of us working together, and let's be honest about even in those moments, there's friction and there's tension, and how do you overcome those frictions and tensions for the greater good? And the reason why those relationships work, I mean, I visited Thurgood's apartment in Harlem doing research for the film. And that same building, Walter White lived in the same building. A lot of the top folks from the NAACP all lived in that same building. And so, like, you get it. You're right. You guys are working together. You're living together. You're all up on each other. So of course there's frustration, there's tension, and there's all this stuff. But what made those relationships work, what made the partnership between Friedman and Marshall work, was a dedication to justice, and a dedication to the truth. And the fact is, they could fight, they could be, get out of my house, and go, but here's a piece of evidence. Whoa. Forget the personal for a second. Let's handle our business, and then we'll deal with the rest.
Who saw the HBO production or the Broadway production of Lawrence Fishburne as Thurgood Marshall? Who saw that? Okay, y'all gotta go see that too. So for you, the Sidney Poitier movie, which may have been, was it 98? I can't remember when that came out. And then of course you have very recently Lawrence Fishburne playing this just epic figure, and he did an unbelievable job in doing it.
I mean, all that is great. I mean, the fact is, you know, Thurgood is an underrated hero, right? And in the Mount Rushmore of Black America, right? We know MLK's right there. We know Malcolm X is right there. The other two spots are debated, right? Now, I would say Thurgood absolutely needs to be there.
Oh, well, if you read many of those accounts, Thurgood Marshall, oftentimes, Dr. King drove him crazy for a lot of folks. He would often complain, like, he said, there he goes again, dropping all those damn legal bills on us, and then walking out of the room.
Right.
And friction was there. Thurgood Marshall oftentimes was offended that Dr. King and others got the credit when it was the lawyers who made a lot of the civil rights advancements possible. Without the lawyers, you had a bunch of folks who were marching.
And in fact, I'd go one step further. I mean, again, this is one of the reasons why I actually wrote the Black Panther, why I wanted to do this movie, is as black people, almost all of our heroes are outlaws, right? For good reason, because if the law is wrong, you have to break the law. You have to change the law. So Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, these are people who were jailed for fighting for the right thing, which is all well and good, but what about making law? What about being in charge? What about being the ruler? So from Black Panther to Thurgood Marshall, we have to show the next phase, right? Which is, you know, what are our belief systems? We know what we fight. We know what we're against. What are we for? And Thurgood Marshall was a man who made America live up to its promise, right? I mean, there was a promise in the Constitution that was unfulfilled, right? And we as black people have bled over centuries, you know, to make America live up to its potential. And he was one of the chief architects of doing so. So we have to celebrate the law, we have to celebrate lawmakers, and that's who Thurgood Marshall is.
And the part about what you just said, make law, and again, if I can just keep dropping book references, Jack Bass has this unbelievable book on the Fifth Circuit that actually was responsible for making Brown versus Board of Education real. These Southern white judges. And it was lawyers like Thurgood. I mean, injunctions did not exist before Brown versus Board of Education. That was a legal instrument created by these type of lawyers. And so many of the civil rights positions or legal instruments we know today, they created. So you're right. I mean, they were just, I mean, it was new ground being broken every single time they went to court.
Exactly. So, you know, we have to acknowledge where we are as a people. And the fact is, we've had all these victories, we have all these successes. And if we're going to maintain them, if we're going to protect them, if we're going to continue to advance, then we have to remind ourselves of who we are and keep our blade sharp.
Justin Smollett played Langston Hughes. I'm trying to figure out, was he wearing a tie and an ascot? What the hell was going on?
The master of ascot.
Yeah, you know, man, I wear ascots. I'm like, damn it, make up your mind. Ascot or tie. What was that?
I thought it was fly.
No, I'm just asking what was it? So I'm sitting there going like,
It was an ascot.
damn ascot and a tie? I was just curious.
I'll put you in touch with Ruth Carter. You can ask your
Oh,
question.
Ruth had a costume design.
Yes!
Who was aware of Ruth Carter? Handful of people. Tell folks who the amazing, unbelievable Ruth Carter is.
You first got to know Ruth Carter's work as a costume designer through her work with Spike Lee, right? And so many of those great wardrobe choices that you see in those early Spike Lee movies were done by Ruth Carter. If you guys remember Amistad, the Steven Spielberg movie, there was so many great costume choices, but the one I remember is there was a woman who had a head wrap made out of an American flag, which I thought, boy, that's the whole movie right there. That image, so powerful. Ruth and I had known each other since the early days when we both had started our careers. This was our first time getting to work together, and we had a fantastic time. And I remember she came to me, she goes, Reggie, close the door. She goes, I can't tell nobody, but I'm going to do the Black Panther after this. I was like, that's great! So I pulled out some comic books. Now you need to have that look and that look and that look. So
She looked at you like, really? Really? She
No.
like, I've been nominated for a Academy. Sit the hell down. No, I'm just...
comic books is my world. So I said, you have a director who's enormously talented, but I'm just saying, if I were you, I would look at these things. She was, we had a great time.
I brought her up also for a reason, because when I did this with David Talbert after Almost Christmas, we talked about why it's also critically important, where we don't just talk about a Chadwick Boseman who's in front of the camera or even the director, that literally the number of jobs that exist beyond just the faces that we know. Most folks would, you see the credits roll and you think costume designer, but literally she's the one who is in charge of the look of the entire film.
Yeah.
And has what's supposed to work underneath her. And gets paid very well.
And I can tell you, when you work at a high enough level in this business, all these department heads, right, which are technically, okay, I'm the director, but the fact is, they're all making a movie. The cinematographer is making a movie. The costume designer is making a movie. And when you meet with your department heads and they give you their vision of the movie, right, they say, okay, I read this script, and here's the story that I'm telling through my department. Here's how I'm telling this story via wardrobe. And you sit there and you talk to a Ruth Carter, and she's so brilliant, and you look at her and you go, thank you for making me look great, because you have such a mastery of your craft. And dialogue with her back and forth, well, here's my idea, well, here's what I was thinking, and you just leave feeling great, because you know that's handled, that you have someone who's going to plus up whatever idea you have. She's spectacular. And, you're absolutely right. There's so many departments in making a movie, and I can't encourage people enough, if they are interested in show business, to look at all aspects of it. There are folks who are in charge of making special effects. You will never see them. They're sitting in a dark room with their windows. But it's a crucial job, so I encourage everybody to look at all the credits.
How many folks have actually watched a DVD with the director's commentary on? They're like, hell no. Just pick a movie, and it is absolutely fascinating to sit there and literally listen to them describe all things that took place. Okay, we're going to take some questions. Also, I need to know how much time we have left. No one has given me any indication, so let me know that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move. It's going to be like Phil Donahue. I have some ground rules. I got the damn mic. I don't need you to hold it. So keep your hands in your pocket. If you touch the microphone, I will hit you on the hand with the microphone. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up top. I ain't joking. I'm gonna go up top, then I'm gonna go to that side, but I'm gonna come in the middle and go down. So I'll be zigzagging, and so don't be begging, don't be trying to say, I'm a senior citizen, come to me first. None of that stuff works with me. Come on out, step on out, bruh. How you doing? All good. Name, question.
Reggie Hudlin. My question is, for a long time, I've heard a lot of stories about Thurgood Marshall, and this was a great one, by the way.
Thank you.
I was wondering why we don't see more about people like Charles Houston, right, who was also mentioned in the movie. I was wondering why some of those mentors that we see, like in that Mount Rushmore that you talked about, some of those mentors for those people in Mount Rushmore, how come they don't get sort of spotlighted in a film?
Well, it's what I call the burden of history. You know, we have so much achievement, so many stories that need to be told. Believe me, I never in my life thought I could make a movie shown in theaters about Thurgood Marshall. And this movie was very hard to get made. We ended up getting the financing from China. But hey, we got the financing from China. So that's good.
Well, we get every damn thing else from China. Our shirts, hats, everything else.
I'm just saying, but for the majority of my career, when you would try to get financing for a movie, one of the reasons they would give you for not giving you the money is, well, we can't sell it internationally. You know, people around the world are not interested in black people and their lives and their stories. So, cut to some folks from China, most of whom did not speak English, and I'm having a meeting with them, and I'm talking, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now. I'm just talking. I don't speak Chinese. There's a woman who's translating, and there's nodding, and then we shook hands, and then I walked away, and I'm like, I don't know what just happened. And then the money showed up. I said, oh, it's a beautiful new world. So, so that to say that we're one bite at a time, you know, I really want to make sure we mention Charles Hamilton Houston in the film because he is so important. So I'm glad you asked that question, and hopefully the success of this film, and that success being in your hands, will pave the way for other stories like this being told.
Reggie, real quick, you talked about international. Let folks know, we've talked about it before, but let folks know how Django also played a role in changing that internationally. Because folks said, oh, a Western?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
With a black dude?
Yeah. In fact, when we were meeting with studio, I was one of the producers of Django Unchained. So when we were meeting with studios about making the movie, they would wait till Quentin Tarantino left the room, and then they would say, look, there's two things that don't travel around the world. No one in the world wants to see a Western. No one wants to see a movie with black people. So you're making a black Western. That's a combination that nobody wants to see. Now, I laugh because, 27 years ago, they told me that about House Party. No one likes teen movies. No one likes black movies. You're making a teen black movie. No one wants to see it. So here we are, almost 30 years later, same story. And I just said, whatever, you have no choice. This is a Quentin Tarantino movie with Jamie Foxx and Leonardo DiCaprio. You are financing it, which they did. And that movie made $500 million all over the world. So, and I've talked to folks who said, look, I've done the research. I've cracked the numbers. This whole argument that black films don't travel doesn't hold up.
Nope.
Now, there are movies that aren't good and they don't make money, but it has nothing to do with, because there was a black person in it, so, no one wants to see it. I mean, no one says that when a white movie fails. The audience is just tired of white people.
I know I'm tired of seeing Jennifer Aniston another failed at the comedy. But she will probably get 5 more.
So, this whole
Y'all know I'm
racial barrier thing in terms of black films traveling is a myth. And like every other myth, we just knock it down.
Question.
So, Reginald, first of all, awesome job.
Thank you.
And we know how great Roland is. I'm looking for that day to see Roland on the big screen. I think Roland could have played.
Oh, hell no.
What do you think about that?
Not a lot of cussing in the movie.
But here's my question.
even though we did have a conversation, you know, that was those journalist scenes in the movie. I'm just saying. I guess there were no black newspapers then, Reggie. Y'all gotta understand. I was jacking with okay. You told me about Thurgood how long ago?
I can't even. Dude, we talk. Look, Roland is truly a dear friend of mine. He's a lifeline to me because, you know, we're out in the world. We're dealing with crazy people all the time, right? And we go, man, can you believe what just happened? So I don't know when I talk to you about Thurgood Marshall.
But ever since he did, I'm like, damn it, y'all can find a role somewhere for a brother to walk past something. I know, but you know. He was like, the next one, I'm like, can you say that one more damn time?
Okay, so.
Put your hand down.
I'm sorry. Oftentimes, Reginald, I've sat in on conversations with a bunch of educators, and they feel like that they don't think Brown versus Brown should have taken place because they feel like we could have educated our own a lot better in the integrated system. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I think that whole we were better off segregated argument is weak. I mean, we act like it's an either-or situation. The fact is, there are a lot of discriminated groups who have it both ways. There's a lot of anti-Semitism. And they have Jewish schools and Jewish universities, and at the same time they integrate, you know, formally all WASP anti-Semitic institutions at the same time. So why shouldn't we, you know, have access to every part of American society? And
I like the song. I just don't like nobody singing about me doing the butt.
Okay. I'll tell you what I'll do then.
I don't want to do the butt.
I won't sing about you doing the butt.
Right.
I'm just going to sing about some guy out there doing the butt. But I won't say Cedric, okay? Okay, so how we come it up. Say it. I don't know who he is. You gotta be no bud. Oh, look now. He's moving the big old bud. Oh, he's rolling out there. He's running with the big old bud.
Just didn't want to be doing the butt, man.
Kevin Statham in the house.
That's it.
Kevin
I want to
Statham in the
dance.
house.
I want to
See you out there. There he is. Come on, Kevin. You got to bring your wife up here. Because, you know, your wife is the baby part. You know what I'm saying?
Killed it! Killed it!
not sure if Joe's in here. I know Joe Hassan was playing golf today, because I saw his name on the page. He was close to the pin, but I guess he ain't here. All right.
These songs that everybody knows, because we don't want to wear our entertainers out. You know what I'm saying? Because they got to do it again tomorrow. Because they got to do it again tomorrow night. You know? So what we gonna do? We gonna rock one of them OJ songs. You know what I'm saying? We just rock an OJ song. We need to rock what? We're gonna rock a little Love Train. We're gonna rock a little Love Train up in there. I'm thinking a little my myself. I'm thinking a little my up in here. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Did you get that drink?
red dress and slip on your high heels, and some of that sweet perfume sure smells good for you. Slide on your lips and let all your hair down, baby, when you get through, I'm gonna serve you. Tonight will be a special night, no matter where we go, and I'm so proud to be with you. I just wanna let you know, I need everybody to put them up there. I want you to wave from side to side. Everybody in the house tonight, move your legs. We are waving side to side. Say it again. Put your night down low. Let your hair hang low. Step in our room. I'm in the mood. My.
Tell your name, Joe. Tell your name, Joe.
Put your night down low. And do what? Get on down there. Speaking in tongues now. Doing it right now. Getting it on now. Nothing, yeah. What you say, I see ya? I want you to talk to her, please. She's in the room. She's laying down. And she's waiting. She's waiting on those green killer eyes tonight. No, not to you, only you to do. And say something sweet to her, yeah. Mama. Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
Let's break that in.
One more time. I said, ooh, oh baby, baby, oh baby. Johnny says you lay it right there. Say it right there. Say it right there. Say it right there. What you want me to do? Yeah. Lay it right there. I want you to woo, 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 Can you woo, woo, woo? Can you woo, woo, woo? Can you woo, woo, woo? Yeah. When it gets so good, oh baby. When it gets so good, oh baby. Should it get so good? When you say, ooh, you.
Ain't that shit, Johnny?
Baby. If you're gonna go just a little bit deeper,
Get down now.
if you're gonna go just a little bit deeper, if you're gonna go just a little bit deeper, I gotta tell them? Should let me, should let me, I should let me. Will you come on with me tonight? Let me make me love. Can I make me love? Can I make me love? Can I make me love? Make me love. Make me love. If y'all with us tonight, let me hear you say yeah.
Okay. Yeah.